Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your contribution for the law field. Yes, I know you have a great contribution in this law field. I was reading your background and that is very impressive.
Thank
Okay.
you. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay. And you said you started reading our book?
Yes, very, very good. Well written. Lots of great ideas and content, including stuff I haven't really seen anywhere else. I think you really are coming up with new, fresh perspectives and original ideas. I've been trying to read most of the books out there over the years. Of course, the literature is vast, but it's a really refreshing read. So I certainly recommend it.
Thank you. Good. Okay, have you seen a little bit our website, what it's about, our background, and
Yeah, a little bit. Yes. So certainly you've been working hard and you made some great progress and all over the world, it seems. So very exciting. Certainly great experience, I think. And that's what is showing in the book, that you're speaking from experience.
Exactly. And this is why we had this big courage to put the law field and career on hold. I'm saying on hold because you never know what is life bringing to you. Maybe tomorrow we're gonna open a big law firm again and whatever. But now we put it on hold because we feel this mission to help lawyers to go through this profession in a different perspective. As you do, because I understand you are doing, we have the same mission, so this is very interesting. I think to find some ways to merge and to share from your experience and to share from our experience, and the fact you did research, it's amazing. I think this is very advanced and very helpful for the world. Yeah. Tell us a bit about your journey.
Well, it started out pretty interestingly because I was going through the psychology program at the Stockholm University, which is a 5-year master's program, basically. And towards the end of it, we had a class in social law, which a lawyer was leading. And after a couple of sessions, I realized that she was talking about the same case, that she was traumatized. And so I started thinking, well, that's very interesting. Some lawyers work really heavy cases. Perhaps lawyers are also stressed. I was very naive then. This radical idea, maybe lawyers are stressed. So me and a fellow student approached the Swedish Bar Association and asked to do a national survey. And so we did that, and lo and behold, we did discover, we could validate that Swedish lawyers indeed are stressed, and some of that stress can be related to client work, especially if you're in criminal law or family law, while business law obviously has a different set of stressors. And so right after graduation, the Swedish Bar Association asked me to run full-day workshops on client psychology and stress and time management. So that became sort of my second school, my schooling into the world of lawyering, which is obviously quite different. So I learned a lot directly from lawyers, which was really exciting, and that's just what I've been doing ever since for 15 years now.
What kind of workshops?
Well, basically full-day workshops. I think the client psychology ones are really interesting because then you really work with people's own experiences. And I think it's terrible that lawyers are not getting more support. I encourage anyone who's working with family law or criminal law to have access to a coach just like you. So when you have a client case that is getting to you under your skin, that you're able to reflect upon it and to get perspective on how you're being affected and how you can better manage that case. And then also when it comes to the stress and time management, it's of course about well-being and performance, which we see that in research again and again, that you can't separate them two. If you want to have top performance in a long-term perspective, a sustainable top performance, then you have to take care of your well-being. And so I think a lot of lawyers, they nod and say, yeah, I know that, but they don't really know that, because if they did know it from the inside out, they would have different priorities.
Yeah, I like that you said we take care of the validation of the lawyers. It's very important point, because in our mindset as a lawyers, we actually we are looking for validation through our clients, because it's kind of proven we are good enough, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we are good enough, we can go forward. So the
Yeah.
relationship is very important to be from both sides. I mean, also the lawyer to learn how to validate the clients, and especially, as you mentioned, family law. You know how many times the clients, they need a little bit of validation of emotions, their emotions, and from there they are more open to say, to, you know,
say the truth.
Yes, to tell the truth to the lawyer, because we have, as a lawyer, we have this problem with clients not telling us.
Yeah. So you're really pointing to several really important things there. I certainly agree that when you validate the client's emotions, they open up. Otherwise, they will get stuck, and that will directly influence the legal collaboration that you're doing. And I'm also super important, the good enough struggle that lawyers have. So many lawyers feel like fake, you know, that they're just, you know, I was kind of lucky, I'm not really good enough, everyone is better, all the other people in this law firm are so much better than me. They struggle with it so much, and that is what is sometimes called the imposter syndrome, that you're not able to internalize your successes because it doesn't really rhyme with your self-esteem. So you have this fragile performance-based self-esteem. And I think one of the most powerful ways of working with that is through coaching with people like you, because it's not something you can read. Well, you can read and you can recognize what the book is telling you, but it's just so much more personal. You need to process it again and again to work through.
And it's a process. It's a process, and it's like self-esteem training, like being aware about your value and accepting your value as a lawyer. And what, yes, this is true. And what did you find through your research? I'm curious. I mean, you said you had a lot of research. What it was,
the main issue, the main
that
problem.
surprised you?
Oh, what surprised me, because I've done quite a lot of everything from sexual harassment to mindfulness to leadership and so on.
Related to lawyers, yes. Lawyers.
Related to lawyers, all about lawyers. That's all I research. Well, I think there are a couple of themes that we can look at. One is the gap between law school and law firm. Law school does not prepare you to work as a lawyer. It prepares you in the core competencies, the legal skills. But you know that to be a successful lawyer, it's not just about knowing the law, applying the law. It's about collaboration. It's about managing your stress. It's about planning, prioritizing, being able to manage deadlines and so on. It's all these soft skills, we could call them facilitation skills, that are facilitating the application of the legal competency that you have. So it's no use being a brilliant lawyer if you're not effective. So the efficacy is very, very critical. And so we have a huge gap between law school and law firm. And so you see a stress bump initially in the career because the law firm is not training people enough in these skills. And the return of investment in training the young lawyers is just huge, incredible. Again and again, you're going to have people working, bill 1,500, 2,000 hours per year. Obviously, training them 10, 20, 30 hours is going to pay, you know, so many times over back. So that's a very interesting topic. And then I think
it's kind of closing the gap between law school and the performance.
Yes, exactly. And then you will have less staff turnover because some of the staff that you're burning out in a law firm is because they're not being given the right tools to take care of themselves and to perform at the level they need to perform. So that's kind of like almost a cruel thing that they're not given better training in that sense. And then another interesting thing is just the whole how leadership is being facilitated in in law firms, because in general you become a partner because you're a rainmaker or because you're a brilliant lawyer, not because you are great leadership material or because you're interested in leadership. So you're being promoted into a leadership position, but you're not, again, getting the training, and you may not have the personality to fit it at all, but you are a very hands-on leader. I mean, there's more leadership in law firms than most other companies you can find. So that's also a very interesting theme or topic that I think law firms could look into.
I think leadership is important, and leadership, because you can have all these skills of leaders, as you said, but it's important to own it and to allow your skills to be part of you. And from there, we are working in our coaching process how to own your self-leadership. So to build this confidence and to own these resources, because our mind as a lawyer, it's set it like outside from ourselves. It's how we have to win, how we are for others, you know, being in service and being for others. And for us, you know, the reward is just related to the winning. I mean, from the place of competition, but not from the place of self-leadership and the holistic perspective.
Or maybe I was thinking in many cases where are great lawyers like building a very professional team. Maybe they are not good leaders, and they have to accept this weakness and to bring somebody else in that place in order to lead the organization, to lead the team, and to accept just, I'm good in this, I'm not good in this. I take another people to fulfill another part. I mean, it's matter of
identification.
Yeah, and collaboration, and it's matter of acceptance of and validation of
Yes. Yeah, great points. The right person in the right position is so important, and it's so tricky to undo. And I certainly think there should be greater acceptance and recognition that some partners are not good leaders, and they should just be producing lawyers, essentially. And this is especially important now when many law firms are in lockdown mode, because now it's super important that the partners are being more active, more socially engaged in their leadership, because you don't have the physical social life of the law firm. And so it's more important than ever to put forward the partners that have the people skills, that have the socially engaged leadership, and perhaps for the other ones to take a step back. And I'm also, I mean, I think it's great to hear that you're also using the term self-leadership, which of course, true leadership starts with leading yourself. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others, as Peter Drucker said. And this is also particularly important in lockdown mode, because you're not in your regular social environment. You're alone home, so you don't have all the habits, all the inspiration you're getting from everyone else. So now you truly need to lead yourself. Are you going to do the pajama style working? Or are you going to get up in the morning? Are you going to get out and get running during lunch? Are you going to be able to finish your day? How are you going to pace yourself throughout the day? All of that is just up to you now. And again, if you're very junior and inexperienced, it's a very difficult situation for you. So self-leadership and reflection is incredibly important now.
Yes. Have you noticed any different needs in this lockdown period from lawyers, from recently research in this lockdown period and isolation? Have you noticed any change in needs?
Yeah, so I've done a couple of different studies. I've done 48 in-depth studies, and then I just wrapped up a survey of 12 law firms in 4 countries. And so what we're seeing is that you need to compensate for the loss of the social life of the firm. And you need to do that in the online meetings. So you need to be very aware of how you're conducting the meetings with the colleagues. What are we doing here? Are we being work-oriented or socially oriented? So the risk is that you either forget to have the social engagement interaction, and then people feel disconnected, or that you're only sort of chit-chatting and having a cup of coffee and so on. The latter is not such a common risk. So you need to figure out, am I going to integrate both elements, work and social interaction, in this meeting, or should I have 2 separate meetings? But overall, you need a lot more training in the law firms on how to conduct effective online meetings. So the social connectivity, the socially engaged leadership, and how you conduct the online meetings. Those are the 3 main topics. And you need to, in particular, target the most junior members of the law firms, because they have not gotten a chance to be socially established. They haven't gotten a chance to professionally develop yet. And so they may go quiet and disappear from the radar because they're sitting alone, quiet, waiting for work to show up and no one is calling them. And then they're not getting up on the learning curve. So that's a very, very important topic as well in the lockdown mode.
And I think, especially for lawyers, this online socializing, it's something new and something kind of resistance there, because lawyers, they pay a lot of attention what they are saying, what they are writing, this mindset of being very careful, and it could be kind of inner conflict in between, being like outside world, and the mind works differently. I mean, the defense mechanism, I think it's more active, and they have to deal with this.
Yeah, like I want to show the best. I want to be the best.
Yes, and to keep up myself, not not making the mistakes, not saying something it's not right, not being any interpretation. For lawyers, this is a very big problem. Keeping this resistance and not having this inner freedom of saying and socializing.
Yeah. Such great points, because I think really the way forward is the opposite of being vulnerable and being authentic. And you can, as a partner, you can role model and say, well, I'm struggling, my kid does not want to go to sleep at night, and then I have a deadline. And so there is a great opportunity to connect on a more personal level within the team, and also be able to discuss, what are your challenges? My challenge is that I can't do the work at night because my kid does not want to go to sleep. What is your problem? And then everyone can start showing their own challenge, problem, and then support each other, or come up with new ideas, or just having that more human side of the team, which I think everyone is benefiting. So there is great opportunity in this, because we're seeing better in our own personal settings, personal space, as opposed to the office space.
And seems they are work less, but it's not true, because they are work more. They don't have the gap between.
They are working more.
Yeah, they are working more. They are. I mean, and also for the family, I think it's frustrating, because having the family around and you are stuck on your computer working all day and nobody can see you. It's kind of. It's the dynamic, and
it's something new.
Because family system, that is also another issue over there.
Yes, we are working on the program how to manage the family system of lawyers. The relationship with all the family members, and there is the stigma of lawyers that they are taking in the family, and the role of the profession in the family. This is something very important. And as you said, maybe I have this hope that through the social media and exposing a little bit of vulnerability, it's kind of, okay, we have also another human part. So it's safe to share this, when you see that many people, they have kind of same problems, it's a little bit safe place to share it. So they are more in touch with this, human part and the needs of others, and being more aware what is in the family system and the relationship with others. And this is our hope, to help lawyers to bring more human, human content, human energy, flavor in the practice of law. And this is amazing, because it's not about putting down yourself as a lawyer, and you are not trustful as a lawyer. It's like you are more vulnerable, and you are not humiliating, or you are not putting yourself in a place of victim. It's important from which place. But when you speak with awareness and you say, okay, this is kind of difficult for me to manage. It's not like complaining, it's being truth, This is something that I hope, in this period, this is some positive aspect of growing relationship and changing the paradigm of practicing law and having relationship clients, lawyers.
Do you think after this, when it's gonna finish, after this period, it's gonna change something in the law field?
It should, I hope. What we're seeing, because you were talking about that people are working not any less, and that's certainly what I see in research. People are working a bit longer in the day, especially the young ones have a problem finishing the workday because there's no reason for them. They're single, they're in a small apartment, they're sitting with a computer, they might as well keep the inbox open, you know, and throughout the night as they're watching Netflix or something like that. And certainly people are taking less breaks. So what we're seeing is that people are not less productive when they're working from home. And there were a lot of apprehension, fear of that initially, that some lawyers felt that they would underperform, or that the colleagues would underperform, but we don't see that at all. So there's no reason not to allow people to work from home. Now, we can't have people work from home for 5 days per week, because then you will have no social life. You will not have the more challenging meetings. All the challenging meetings that are complex, such as negotiation, conflict management, perhaps feedback or performance reviews, they always benefit from a physical meeting because it's, you know, it's a much richer interaction. Mm-hmm. So what I'm looking at, what I'm suggesting that law firms are considering is what I call the hybrid work. So you let people choose if they want to work for 1 or 2 days per week from home, but you need to decide which days they are so that you have all the people in the office at the same time, so you can have all these meetings. So it's perhaps Tuesday and Thursday. That means that Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays you can schedule meetings, physical meetings with your colleagues. So that's certainly something that is important, because when people are working from home, some people thought they wanted to do that, and now they recognize, I don't want to do that. I like to go to the office. I like to have the boundaries between leisure and work. And other people are like, hey, this is great. I love to do this. I can do some laundry. I can pick up the kids without any stress, and I can still get the work done. So if you want to have all the advantages of having staff working from home and all the advantages of having people working at the office, let them choose. They will make great choices, because lawyers are not lazy, and they know themselves if they're slacking or not when they're working. And some people just love to have 1 or 2 days at home to get, you know, through the difficult work and so on. Mm-hmm. So that's the way forward I see. And certainly people will have expectations to be able to do this. The young ones will say, are you not going to have any remote work? What kind of place is this? Is this like the 90s? You know, so there is no way back. There's only forward. And the forward is great because it will allow also people to have better work-life balance, for instance.
Yeah, and I'm sure the psychological part, being in the same place, even the office, it's open, it's gonna come to the normal, being all colleagues in the same place, but still having the Zoom meeting with the clients. This could be more open, efficient. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, you know, in the future, the Zoom meetings is gonna be like a part of the normal meeting.
Yeah.
And this is good from one part, and what you said, it's amazing, having the choice, the opportunity to, and the right to choose where is the best for me.
Yes, because this we come back to validation. You give value to the people to make choices, how fit better for each lawyer to work, you know, as Google did, you know, they work and they give this freedom to people to work on their rules, you know, because sometimes rules are blocking, you know, are the reason of blockages and conflicts, and
the ego, it's coming.
Yes, and not being focused on what matters instead of the rules and how to respect kind of rules. So this is interesting to be researched in the future, how works better, and I think it's a great job what you did regarding this research. It must be something very helpful, and maybe it's an option. We can do something for, you know, for law firms. Maybe we create a model. We when we have to talk about this, because
Yeah.
I think it's very, very helpful, because now lawyers and law firms, they need something
A
to relate.
structure, a
Yes, they
system.
need something to go through, to have an option. This is
Mm.
good. This is what I want to do, because I think it's helpful and gives option for people and for employers. And I'm interested what it was the research about the well-being, how it was this, because lawyers in general, they are not, they work too much, and they put their self into, you know, this, I'm strong enough, I do better, I can't quit, I'm a lawyer, this is lawyer's life. I heard a lot of stories when I was talking and quiz with, this is lawyer's life, you know, this kind of stigma
Bias.
and bias. And how was the response from the research you've made in this direction?
Yeah, well, it seems to me that there are a couple of misconceptions in the law firm industry. I think there is a flaw in the recruiting process.
Mm-hmm.
So they are recruiting a lot of people that have insecure overachiever orientation, which
Mm-hmm.
actually makes them get great grades, but it also makes them fragile. Now, it's not hopeless to be an insecure overachiever. The industry is rife with them, but you need to give them the tools to become mature overachievers so they can regulate themselves and say, well, now it's deadline. Now I really need to work hard,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's weekend and I need to rest because this was an intense week.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is certainly one overlooked aspect, the personality aspect there, and that I think should be considered more. Then when it comes to well-being, when we're looking at it now during lockdown, I've taken the same firm and compared the data before the lockdown and during the lockdown. And so what we're seeing is a decrease in exhaustion, a decrease in stress. Because when you're sitting at home, it's more boring. You're not getting the excitement of meeting colleagues and clients, but you are conserving energy. And if you're not exercising it, it will show on the scales when you're standing upon it. So you need to be careful with that. But it's actually less stressful. The job satisfaction is intact. Productivity is intact. Work-life balance is improved for sure. When it comes to differences between men and women, I always get different results. It's driving me crazy, but sometimes there's huge differences, sometimes there's no differences. I can't explain it, so I don't even want to go there. But overall, what I would like to say to younger lawyers is that it will become better. It's worst in the beginning of the career. Once you become partner, you have more control over your situation. You have better insight into the cases. You can tell yourself, I don't need to check the email, you know, today, Saturday, because I know my client is going away or there's no urgent stuff going on. So certainly, as you get more control over the cases and the workload in general, your stress level decreases and your job satisfaction is increasing.
What kind of method do you use for the research, like stress scale, or what are the methods you use?
Yeah, I use validated psychometric scales in surveys, and then I try to correlate them with each other to just make sure that they're all working and that they're all consistent. And that's also very important that law firms are not using home cooked scales because they will be misleading. You need to use scientifically validated ones. And so, for instance, when it comes to well-being, I think all law firms should monitor the well-being of their staff right now when we're going through the lockdown and COVID-19 and so on. And there's a very good free scale, and the World Health Organization has their own scale, which is called WHO5. So they can just go online, download it, and use that. And they can get reference data from me at no cost. And so they can compare themselves to other law firms, and then they can just measure perhaps once a month. And then they can catch a decline early on and be able to act upon it and be proactive instead of discovering much too late that they actually had a decline in the well-being. So, but when it comes to well-being now, it's important to recognize that there is a variance. Some people are doing better now, and some people are doing worse. So they need to spot who are the people that are struggling now, and then to give them resources such as coaching or supervising and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. It should be like a normal behavior for a for the law firm. It's first
Like policy, I think
step.
every law firm, they should have this kind of policy related to the, you know, to create the right workplace environment, you know, healthy workplace environment, as well as diversity, because there it's have you done any research regarding the diversity within the law firm?
What I've done is, well, we all know from research, of course, that diversity is incredibly important, not to get the sort of group think and the tunnel thinking. And so for creativity, problem solving, it's super important. What I've looked at mostly here in Sweden is the gender challenge, and then in the US you have more of also the ethnic dimension, which is not as
Yes,
common problem here yet, but we're certainly getting there because we're getting more and more second generation immigrants. Mm-hmm. So here we have, of course, the problem with unconscious bias, mm-hmm. that you're not being aware of that you are being biased. And I think the biggest problem for female lawyers is that they're not getting the same chance of becoming rainmakers. So when it comes to networking, business networking, female lawyers are incredibly disadvantaged, incredibly so. The second thing that is important for female lawyers to recognize is that it's very important that they get good mentors, very committed mentors. So research shows that you need to have 2 or 3 committed mentors to support you to really get that boost in your career as a female lawyer. And if you don't have 2 or 3 in your career, you can always add one by getting a coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I think this is important for the beginning, to get support and to be assertive, because the women, they start becoming more into masculine, and they try hard, you know, to like they go into mirroring, then going in their own power. So this, I think, is something very important to be talked about, you know, and the mentor, it's very important. So I think this is a good idea to have a mentor that has a role to remind you what is your inner power, your inner resource,
and to achieve
and
the goals.
not to make, you know, to mirror the male because this is in our world the problem, that it's switching, the polarization of the energy is very unbalanced. So I think this is very important. We might have a survive. I think this is important to have a survive.
Yeah. It
would be nice to make a group of lawyers with a mentor and a female, and a group without, and to make this research how they behave, how they position themselves, how they are in the law field.
How many lawyers, female? I mean, are more female or men lawyers in Sweden?
Well, what we're seeing now is that the majority of the graduates from law school are females, but we're also seeing a greater staff turnover, so they leave the law firms more often, so it's harder to keep them. And this is also a very big problem in the US when we talk about people of color, or if you're homosexual, for instance, then you also need to work with your self-esteem and being assertive and just get all these resources, all the support you can get, because it's not a fair game out there. We know that you can succeed, but you need all the help you can get. And certainly if you've gone through getting a law degree and you've gotten into a great law firm, you've done so much, you've really proven that you can do it. So I'd just like to encourage all people that are being challenged in that way to keep doing it, but also to be smart with the resources and the support they can get.
And I think it's very important, not just empowering the women and having mentoring, also to empowering the idea of the male that women are good. I mean, also training the male part, and somehow after bringing together and like kind of acceptance group of our role and our
energy. That is different.
Yeah, like kind of mixing, alchemize
the resources. And when I was I called in Beverly Hills Bar Association's conference for elimination of bias 2 times, and I was so shocked to see this racism and this injustice for Black women lawyers, and for how much they in the interview, in the salary, and all the aspects of being treated like everything it was low and less than, and there is a lot of pain. And I think now, especially in this period of time here in US with the racism and all the what happens around now, I think this is a good point where it's important to be work and to reinforce this part of diversity and inclusion. And I go forward, and now I'm working in a different program we have in Beverly Hills Bar Association, a project of challenges, about speaking about racism. And we take all this aspect of the racism in many aspects of well-being and, communication, relationship, and these 21 challenges. And it's very interesting to bring this voice and to be here and to have more knowledge about where is the problem, and it is a problem there. So this is something very, very present.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly being a Black woman, you will become doubly punished. But when I look at, for instance, sexual harassment, the vast majority of the sexual harassment is just plain stupid jokes. And so once you bring it up and you show the prevalence of it, and once the law firm is implementing a zero tolerance and saying, well, if you can't treat your female colleagues right, you cannot become a partner, then most men will shape up. And I think it's the same thing with a lot of racism. It's unconscious, it's not malign, it's not meant to be malicious, but you need to become self-aware, you need to be humble, you need to ask for feedback. And so sort of this reverse mentoring, where you're, as a partner, you're asking for feedback from the associates on your own behavior to become aware of it, because a lot of racism is not conscious. So you need to get to that unconscious bias to really be able to change. And so that's where my hope lies, because I've seen in law firms where I've gone in and I've done assessment of sexual harassment, and then I've shown the results, and the law firm has implemented zero tolerance, and they've actually sacked partners. And then I come back the second year, it's just 1/3 of the initial level of sexual harassment. So that brings me great hope that there are a lot of just plain stupid horsing around that should not be accepted in a professional firm, that people can actually change.
Yes, they can. And this is the thing, the feedback, I think it's very valuable, because the people, they come with the patterns. They come with the, family patterns, with the behavior patterns, and they bring into the workplace, and they have a different reaction, and they don't understand, they are not getting this, because nobody in their family, nobody in their environment told them that maybe the opposite, they were liked about this side. But in the workplace doesn't seem it's the same same reaction, so they are confused. So the feedback, I think it's very helpful when you give feedback, and the people, they realize and they are aware, wait a minute, it's matter of diversity. We are different people. We have different patterns. We have different backgrounds, different culture. You have to pay attention and to make sure it's safe for me to have this kind of communication with this person or in this environment.
And the diversity in this way is not seeing just the diversity between nation. It's also the diversity between patterns, because it's different. It's important how Andreea says, the education, the background, and the belief system. What do we believe about this joke, as you said, or about this? It's also the diversity, the acceptance of, and talking like acceptance of the patterns. And I think a good idea would be law firm to have also this social, like a family, social time to spend together in order to know each other better. And not only the work connection, but also the social connection, like like
Yes, because
friends.
when you know a person better, you say, it's not about me, it's about their
I mean,
work.
it's more acceptance, and this could be also doing by online Zoom around the world with the different lawyers and different patterns would be great. We are
Yeah,
so
yeah.
having you here.
Well, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, you want to know if your wife or husband is alive. It's nice to get to know the people that you're spending 70 hours a week with, who are these people that you're working with. It's nice to get to know them. And so certainly that's one aspect. And it's also part of the whole becoming aware of work-life balance and role modeling and so on. So I think that
And
would
in
be
fact,
very inspiring.
I saw lawyers, because we are lawyers and we know how lawyers are outside from the environment. They are going like crazy. They are like being explosion. They are opposite than in a practice, because they feel free and they feel like now I can come with my real true self, and this kind of confusion, instead of being all together, like kind of balance in the work.
Yes, it's kind of focused, but you have to be at work exactly in this pattern, exactly in this shape. You can go outside, and when they go in their family, they treat them with all the frustration and they put in the family, and there a lot of conflicts are, because of this.
But no.
Yeah.
Oh, are so many things to do in this field.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So exciting.
What is your plan? I mean, what plans you have now in this period now?
Well, I'm obviously very interested in how the workplace in law firms is changing through the lockdown and COVID-19. And I think for the law firms that are being smart about and that are partaking of the research, I think there's great promise, because the young ones are asking, will we be able to work at home in the future? And they're also asking for work-life balance. And so there is a great shift where I recognized a lot of the things that I've learned for the past 15 years may not apply anymore. But it's also a great opportunity for many other things to change. For instance, to have a more human personal side in the connectivity between colleagues, for instance. So I like to keep exploring with that. I'm very interested also in how leadership in law firms is different from leadership in traditional companies. Obviously, when you're a partner, you own the company, you're a producing leader, you're leading people in a very sort of direct way in your delegations and coaching and feedback and so on. So that's also a very interesting area there. I think there has not been enough research, and where I also think that leadership programs need to be more people-oriented and also more targeting towards the specific ways that work flows in law firms, where you have a partner and senior associate and junior associate and so on. So that's also a very, very interesting area.
Mm-hmm. So, this is amazing, because it's like being aware.
Great mission.
And being aware and being there to help and to bring the reality, and not living in the fake world and the fear energy, and not living in the illusions. Anyway, life is an illusion, but to decrease a little bit bringing a little bit more truth and more truth and more truth, and perhaps the relationship becomes more harmonious. And I'm so delighted, having this conversation and having you here. And I feel like we can do something together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always learn, so it's been really interesting and rewarding to talk to you in the work-life committee. And do you have people from law firms there, or are they mostly individual? Yeah, you do. Okay.
From everywhere, yes. It's a
Okay.
big resource, and we want in the future to make also international retreats for lawyers.
Great. Great.
We do something on this. I mean, we have many plans. I don't know if you see, have seen in our website the ULS, Unique Lawyer System, we have created.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Yeah, this program, by the way, is we've created for young lawyers, for lawyers who want to step in their
Solo practitioner.
in their steps. And we created actually a system that helped lawyers to create their system. Because we start from the idea everybody is unique. And when you want to start your law firm, your law practice, your law business, it's better to start with the something unique that represents yourself.
Yeah.
And we create this system that we hope we can help as much lawyers as possible.
Great.
We're gonna share it. Maybe you can share also. And I'm gonna send you an email to follow up. Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. We'll take it from there. All right. Thank you. Have a good day in LA.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.